Hi guys. Happy Saturday. It's a gloomy Saturday. And today I'm going to be talking about the autoimmune protocol and fear and kind of how that can really prevent us from doing the healing that we need to do. And I'm also going to have a special guest join us today. So, hello, Thamlin22. Do you want to introduce yourself? I don't know what your name is, but you can definitely introduce yourself. Hi, Beth. I'm just going to wait for our guests to come on. So today we're talking all about the autoimmune protocol and fear and how that can hold us back sometimes. Hi, Heather. Hi, Tina. And how that can hold us back. So I'm going to ask Liz to come on and talk with us because with some fear before she did the Paleo Autoimmune Protocol, and she's going to talk to us today about how she overcame that, because I know this is something lots of people deal with. So hopefully she can give us some tips with how she dealt with that. Hi, Paleo Zad. Okay, so Liz, I have requested for you to come on with me. Hopefully it's working. Hi.
I'm here finally.
You're here. Oh, your hair looks so good.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Kathy. All right. So this
Hi,
is Liz. And she did my May. It was May, right? Yeah. She did my May.
Spring.
Yeah. She did my May run of the 30-day AIP Back to Basics program. And she was super, super hesitant to join it. So I asked her to come on today because this is definitely something that a lot of us experience. I didn't have any coaching myself when I started, and it took me 3 months to get on board with doing it even without the support, right? Like I was like, oh, I don't know if I could do this. Like this is a lot, because mentally you really have to get yourself there before you can begin, because otherwise it's a waste of your time and a waste of your money too, because obviously you were investing in this program, but also, the food, the supplements, all that stuff is also pricey. So it is something you want to be in the right headspace for. So that's kind of what we're going to talk a little bit about today. So I am running this program again, for those of you that don't know, and this is the last time in 2020. I know 2020 has been such a crazy year, but it is the last time I'm running it, and we are starting September 20th. So I'm going to be on here this week talking with different people about different aspects of the program to hopefully answer some of your guys' questions to see if it's a good fit for you or not. So I'm first going to ask Liz to just tell us a bit about her AIP journey and how she connected with me.
Yes. So I honestly just have to give all the credit to my friend Beth at Restoring Health with AIP. She got me excited about AIP years ago. It took me more than 3 months. It didn't happen overnight. I love carbs. I love dairy. I love sugar. I didn't know how I was going to get on this journey. And she just grabbed my hand and she started educating a group of women in Western New York. And she told me all about you and the back to basics. And I was very hesitant, especially with COVID starting, having a family at home. Just committing to anything in life is hard. It's really hard. Yeah. You have to know when you're ready. I think Beth gave me that guidance and support and told me I could do it. Anyone can do this if they want to do it.
Right.
So it doesn't take a lot of extra time. I'll be honest. It's life-changing. It really is.
Yeah. And it's so, any change is hard, obviously, at the beginning. Yes. Like, I feel like, anytime you move somewhere, any change is hard. And this is like a complete overhaul, right? But I always say, you can do anything for 30 days. Like, what's the worst, right? Like, what's the worst that can happen in those 30 days? And then you can decide from there, was this worth it? Am I going to continue with this healing lifestyle? And if it wasn't for you or it didn't work for you, then that's okay. And we can troubleshoot some other things. But I would say 97% of people make it through the program and are happy that they got to the end. So thanks for sharing that. I know Beth is amazing. And I actually work with Beth. She's one of my one-on-one clients and she is lovely. I feel like she coaches me sometimes as much as I coach her. She'll be I'm just checking in with you. How's your class? How's your week going? How's your stress? How are you sleeping? She's very good. So she's a good friend to have. So you're lucky to have her.
Very much so.
So you were very like nervous. You kind of mentioned like to embark on this journey. So talk to us a little bit about what you were feeling when you were considering joining, because I know you were very like back and forth in those first few weeks before you joined.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was back and forth for so many reasons. Number one, what the heck are nutrient dense foods? I'd never heard that term in my life, and it scared me. I didn't hear the word sugar or dairy when I was deciding to commit to this, and I was honestly, I'm like giving up ice cream. That's my life. And then I thought about it long and hard, and of course you Google research, and I watch so many videos on Instagram now of everybody on this AIP and Paleo journey, and I'm like, why can't I do this? Of course I can do this.
Right.
And I trusted that this would be the right journey for me, and I'm like, quarantine is the best time. What do I have to lose for 30 days?
Right.
I mean, I'll be honest, the first 2 weeks were rough for me and my teenage kids.
Right.
Like, what are you making for dinner and lunch and breakfast? Like, we're not eating this. And I'm like, this is actually nutrient dense food. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I says, well, you know what? It's actually low in calories and high in nutrients. It doesn't get any easier than that to understand. I mean, I walk into the grocery store now and it's a whole new world. I mean, I actually enjoy looking for nutrient dense foods. I look forward to taking better care of myself and spreading the word. Like I said, the first 2 weeks are rough, but that third week and fourth week with you just changed my entire thinking and my diet and my journey with this. I've tried for years.
Right?
By myself.
And it's hard to do it by yourself. And I know a lot of people, because there's so much information out there about, any type of diet really that you want to look at, people often say to me like, oh, well, I'll just do it on my own, right? And so there are a percentage of people that can successfully do it on their own. I mean, I was in that percentage. But now knowing what I know, like it would have made my journey way less isolating and way easier had I had the support. Like I always tell the story about how I would be like eating like stew for breakfast and like crying, like literally crying, eating stew for breakfast because
it sounds scary.
I was like, I'm the only poor person in the world that like has to eat stew for breakfast. And everyone else is eating like waffles and eggs and what, right? Like, so having that support and that camaraderie, and even the accountability, like to check in, like when I had a bad day or when, or to celebrate when I had a good day, because I always say this, like, people who are going through the same journey as you, like they're the only people who truly get it, right? Like they truly know exactly where you're at and exactly how you're feeling. And you need that. Like we're humans, we're wired for connection. That is like something that's true to our core. And so when you do something like this that is not mainstream, but you need to do it for your health, it can just feel so isolating, like you're just like out there on your own. And so it makes it so much harder to follow through. And I like that you said, the first 2 weeks, that's 14 days, you guys. 14 days, that's like a good vacation of it being hard. And then by the third week, like, you started to really see a difference. And I think that that's what we have to look at, like perspective wise. I mean, 30 days is not a lot of time. I know that it can seem very daunting. Like I'm not eating ice cream for 30 days, right?
I did. Yeah.
It's really like, it's such a short amount of time. And I always say like in the first few days, the first week, sometimes you're going to feel worse before you start to feel better. And that's normal.
And I did.
Right? Yes, that's very normal.
I did.
And so it's just, having that support, because think about it. If you had been on your own, maybe you even would have been worried, like in those first few days, like, oh, why am I starting to feel like not so good? Or, without having that support in there. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Like the support piece to kind of get you through that initial piece when you start to feel kind of like crap initially.
So when I started to feel like crap and I was crashing, I kind of just kept going back to Facebook and looking at everybody else's food pictures and realizing that my food didn't look as pretty or theirs looked prettier. And I'm like, okay, so AIP food is not like, I'll be honest, it's not that pretty. Some of it. And everything I was making, my kids are like, what? Ew, it's like brown and it's green. And it was hard. I have critics in my house.
Yeah,
So
teenagers are like the biggest critics of everything.
whether you ask or not, they let me know. They still let me know. They still see me, I'm experimenting, making my own pumpkin bread, my own paleo pumpkin bread this week. And they're like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? No, I don't want to taste it. I'm like, but like you said, you got to connect and you have to find the right people to connect with. It's like I'm a crazy dog and a cat lady. And I find those people all over the place, and it's such a good feeling. So once you find people to heal with and start this adventure with, it just gets easier. And so I always looked to your Facebook group just to hear what other people were saying and commenting, and just knowing that we'd get to you by Sunday to hear you and what you were about to educate us with for that hour every Sunday. It was amazing. And what we chose to do with your information was personal and up to us. So,
right. Yeah. I think that's good that you mentioned that too, because some people, I myself like to think of myself as like a more independent study person. Like I'm not a group person, and I'm like that with like my education courses, and as a teacher, I'm very much like that. But yeah, it's very much still, you can make it what you want. Like, it's not, oh, you have to follow this prescription. It's very much like these resources are here for you. And there are some people who need to follow it to a T to be successful, and that's okay. And then there's people who just need to see the outline so that they can make it their own and then just check in with us, right? Hi, Anna. Yeah. So you can totally make this group whatever you need it to be. But I think it really is key that no matter who you are, even if you think you're like me and you're more of like a lone wolf, independent person, that support is so important with something like this, because it's something that you've never done before. Or if you're like me and you do an AIP reset a couple times a year, it's really hard to get back into it when you've like reintroduced foods and you're like, well, I know I'm good with goat dairy, so like, why do I have to take it out again for 30 days, right? And it's like sitting in the fridge staring at you, and you're like, okay, I'm not going to eat this for 30 days, right? And so I know like that feeling, and it's hard. And actually a lot of people have even said to me that they did better when they did AIP like the first time, and then they either got away from it, fell back into old habits, or they reintroduced foods and maybe they kind of like started to slip a little bit, and stress management didn't happen, or poor sleep came in, they went on a vacation, and then they started to feel kind of inflamed again. So then to come back to it, they were like, oh my gosh, it's so hard to go back to it, right? So this program is like really good for newbies, because like it's very set out so that you don't have to do any research if you don't want to. You literally can just follow it. Or if you're somebody who needs to come back to it, you really need definitely that like check-in of like, hey, how did you do today? Like, did you make a meal today? And it doesn't have to be the meal that I set out for you to do. It can be any AIP meal, but just having that for somebody to check in. And I've just like seen in you, in the beginning of the group, you were very nervous, like to share. And then you actually are very creative. And so then like Liz started sharing these photos where people were like, you should like open a restaurant, like an AIP restaurant, because it was like so pretty. And she found a way to make AIP really pretty, in my opinion. And then now you're watching her on Instagram, her journey, where she's had some successful reintroductions, and she's trying out, like she said, she's making all these different foods she never would have tried before. And so I always think that it's really empowering when you find your people. And of course, I mean, you can have different groups of people, but this is a part of my life where I have these people and you guys are all here, and it doesn't exist anywhere else for me, right? It really is just here. And I have, other groups of people that I connect with for different reasons, but you need this piece. Like, you really need this piece. You have to find a community, I think, in order to do this as a long-term lifestyle, and to maintain it. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, this will be with me for life. So
and that's so exciting to hear.
Oh yeah.
So like, I just wish you guys could have seen like the conversation that Liz and I had back and forth. And then I know you were talking to Beth, and I would say, Beth, like, just talk to her, tell her this, like, she's got to do this. She's going to do so good. And I just wish you could see that evolution, because she really was, very much hesitant to do this. Like, it was very scary for you. And now you're like totally confident and just like way on the other side of it. So very proud of you.
It's the best decision I've honestly made in 2020. It's, out of all the bad this year, this is the most uplifting. So
yeah. And I think like you made the comment about, doing it during quarantine. And I mean, even now, you know, things have laxed a bit and most people are back to work and things like that, but it's still a very different world that we're living in right now. And I do think it is a good time because people are spending more time at home. They're spending more time with their families. And honestly, cooking is a lost art in today's society. So many people do not know how to cook. Like, so many adults are like, I only know how to cook stuff out of a package. And they really, that's all they know. And yet, even if you have zero cooking skill set, like, you can learn how to cook. And now is the perfect time for you to learn how to do that. And I bet you were even showing your teenagers some cooking skills, right?
My daughter is totally on board with me. The days that I still didn't like feel good or I was inflamed just because I live with systemic connective tissue disease, which is lupus, arthritis.
Yes.
My daughter would go through your recipes in those 30 days and she would make me food. And if nothing sounded good, she was on Pinterest. You know, looking up AIP recipes for me, making them for me. So she got excited about this journey too. And I just have to say one thing for anybody out there that's a gourmet chef, not a chef, not a cook in the kitchen, not a baker, whether you are or not, these are the easiest recipes I've ever made. They're time consuming, but you make enough for like days on end.
Right.
I've never baked without my mixer. And I really don't have to. I just need a glass bowl and a wooden spoon to make the recipes, like the baking.
Yeah, exactly.
And what is it? A blender we need, or something to make smoothies and puree things. So I bought, you know, like a Vitamix kind of thing. Yeah. So if you have the simple tools you need, you're set up for success with AIP or Paleo.
That's a good point. Thank you for mentioning that. My one-on-one client that I work with here locally, like, he's a bachelor, you guys, like he had like 4 plates, 4 forks, like literally like nothing. And we went to Walmart and it was like, he was very much, I was like, okay, well, you need like a bigger pan, like, cause he just had like little tiny pans. And I was like, we're going to throw like a ton of vegetables in there and they take up a lot of space until they wilt down. So we just need like one big pan. I was like, you need a blender. Like, we just got him a Ninja blender. Yeah, it worked. I was so impressed with the quality. Like, I have obviously invested in like more expensive tools because I am a recipe developer, but I was like so impressed with like the price point and how well the stuff worked that we just got from Walmart. I was like, anybody like can do this. And honestly, like, if you don't have those things, like, don't worry about it. You can still, like, people always say to me, I don't like chicken, or you know, I can't do coconut, or I don't have a blender. Like, just message me and I'm happy to like provide you with alternatives, like, so that you can still make it work. So thank you for pointing that out, because that is definitely and he also has never baked in his life, and like his muffins like look better than mine. I'm like I showed him once and now he like makes them every week and he like shows me and I'm like, how did you like, and he's like, I know, I'm a baker and I bring them to work and everybody eats them. Oh my gosh.
And it's because of you. It's because of you.
So I'm like, this is really like impressive. If a bachelor, like if a guy who's like, you know, in his 30s, he's a bachelor, can learn this, like, honestly, you guys, any of you can learn to do this.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's say, what would be, if you could pick, like, what was your one thing that made you like click purchase and do it? Like, what was the one thing that finally pushed you to say, okay, I'm going to commit to this?
Ooh, how much time do we have? What is the one? Oh my gosh. I knew you'd have recipes. It's just simple as that. I knew you provided us with breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks.
Right.
And I knew I couldn't do this without your recipes. So I was just anxious to find the recipes, to be completely honest, and just to have your support for a whole month. Financially, I had to really think about it too. And what it broke down to is, how easy is it to go to a restaurant and spend $50 to $100 and then give them gratuity, right? For one night of a bunch of, crap food, okay? And you go home and your stomach hurts and everyone's looking for, you know, nasty Tums or acidophilus. And I'm like, this is crazy. This is so worth it. It's like a short-term sacrifice for a lifetime of goals for our health.
Right.
So
yeah, those are my little, that out. I know, because people, I mean, I understand that it is an investment, and we do have a payment plan where you can pay weekly if that's, you know, what you need to do, rather than paying it all at once. But it works out to be about like $75 a week. And that really is quite affordable. Like, if you think, I mean, I know when people go to Starbucks, it's like $9 or $10.
That's
and they might go there every day, right? Like, And like you say, if you eat out like twice a week, or I mean, it really adds up. And so I'm teaching you the tools like for you to be set up for success basically for the rest of your life, if that's how you choose, right? And the recipes, like I said, they're there for you. You can use them if you want. Some people like to be creative and they like to go and find their own and that kind of thing. But I also know that in the beginning, it's so overwhelming with all the information out there that I found, like, I was looking on Pinterest, and then sometimes I would like see like black pepper in a recipe and they'd be like, oh, it's AIP. And I'd be like, I'm pretty sure black pepper is not AIP,
No.
but I wasn't like well versed enough to know for sure. So then I'm like looking up the lists, right? And so that's what I like about this for newbies is like it's all there. You don't have to like worry that you're like possibly getting a recipe that's not technically AIP, because the reason we have to be so strict is because those foods can cause inflammation, and we're just trying to bring the inflammation back down to a baseline. So we really have to be cautious of not eating anything that's gonna, you know, flare it up again, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's a good point as well. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the pieces of the program that were most helpful. So you mentioned like the recipes. You found that was really helpful to have those as kind of a fallback. And then the support piece, obviously, from me. So you do have technically like unlimited access to me. And I always find in the first like week, it's like an influx of people, like I'm getting emails and messages. And then like you say, by the third week, it really dies down because people are like, I kind of am figuring this out and I'm really starting to feel better. And so there's lots of questions in the beginning. And then once we get everybody kind of on the road, people are like, no, like I'm here to learn, but I'm feeling good. I've got this figured out. I'm meal prepped, you know, all of those things. So is there anything else from the program that you found to be, you know, really helpful in terms of like time saving or, you know, diet is sometimes the piece that people look at only when they're starting the AIP. Mm-hmm. I know for me, all I did was change my food. I didn't exercise. I didn't look at sleep and anything like that. So can you talk a little bit about maybe how some of those pieces also maybe were impactful for you?
It's funny because the only type of exercising I'm doing is gardening since June. Yeah. I think it's just really the support of, we got comfortable by the third, fourth week with each other in the group. It was kind of like, we're smooth sailing and we need you, but we're like asking each other and we're reaching out to each other outside of your back to basics group, kind of relying on each other. And I still keep in touch with a couple of people I was terrified to even meet the first week and even join. Yeah. And by the fourth week, I think your last hour meeting, I was kind of depressed. I'm like, no, I'm just getting the hang of this. I don't want it to stop. And I still want to talk to all these people that have joined with me, you know, get to know them. So yeah, there's just, and then the meal prepping. Never, you know, I've heard of all these wonderful moms at schools over there. Oh, I meal prep on Sundays. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Well, you know what? I work full time and this and that. And honestly, how you broke it down, like, what was it? Sunday, Wednesdays, you'd say like Sunday, Monday, prepare these foods.
Right.
You know, Wednesday or Thursday, whatever it was, prepare these foods. And I'm going to be honest, I was behind the first 2 weeks. It could have been like, Tuesday through Thursday, I was doing the first meal preps and I should have been doing it Sunday, Monday, but you know what? You can't sweat that. You just have to go at your own pace. You provide the tools and the support, but you really just have to go at your own pace. So
yes, thank you for mentioning that, because I've had a couple people message me like saying that they, you know, maybe are going on holidays and they won't be back until the 21st. And then, you know, so they're like worried about, and I said, like, why don't you just start when you come back? Like, it's okay if you're a few days behind everyone else. Like, it really doesn't matter. And depending on your lifestyle, your schedule, like I set it up like that because I work full time. And so that makes the most sense for me to prep on Sunday. But then there's a lot of people who are like, no, I'm running my kids to like soccer and I have church and all those on Sunday. But I'd rather do it like on Mondays or whatever, because that's my day to like, so it's totally flexible for you to do it like whenever it works for you. And some people even like my parents did the program back in March, which is so interesting to me. Like after 6 years, they were finally like, man, okay, we'll give it a try. And I was like, I can't believe it took me this long to convince you. But anyway, they did it in March and they like only work in the summer months. So they're not working in March. So they just literally cooked every day. And that's what works for them because that's what they normally would do. And they were like really happy with doing it that way. So it's whatever works for you. Like, don't feel like you have to batch cook or meal prep, but I mean, I am just setting it up that way for people who need the time saving. But yeah, you can totally just do it day to day. That's totally fine as well. And I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the support piece again, because what I decided to do for this time is the group that we ran in May, which was your group, Liz. I'm just keeping that group open and I'm adding the new people to that group. And the reason for doing that is exactly what you mentioned. The camaraderie between the group members, and we actually have some OGs in there, the people who did the original run of this program at the beginning of 2020, they are in there and they are super knowledgeable and willing to help any of you. And so now Liz will be in there. And so, you know, if you have a question, right? I mean, she's there to also check in and, you know, answer your guys' questions. And it's just nice to have the sort of alumni there to kind of help you through those things. I mean, I'm in there every day. My assistant's in there every day. We are answering your questions. But like Liz said, you're going to build some friendships that you're going to keep outside of the program when it's over. And it's just nice to always kind of like help the next group, because I feel like if you're on this journey and once you realize how it's changed your life, like Liz is saying, you just want to like pay that forward and like help other people, because it's so life changing. And until you can kind of get through it and see it from the other side, you don't really understand what people are talking about. So I think it's important to have people like Liz and Beth in there so that they are, you know, reaching out, cheering you guys on, sharing things. And it really is like our own little, you know, like you can sit with us group. So
but
it's really
nice. For everybody. It's for everybody and anybody.
Yes,
so
I would agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to kind of run through, you know, all the things that are included in the program. So basically it's 4 weeks of, you know, group coaching support. You have unlimited email access to me. I'm also in the group daily, so you can message me on Facebook if you want. And you actually get 5 60-minute live teachings. So that's kind of what Beth was talking about. Or not Beth, sorry, Liz. We usually do it on Sundays. That was kind of what most people usually voted for. And, you know, they're on different aspects. So I do one on mindset, because we have to get you in the right mindset to do it. And Liz talked a lot about that, how you have to be ready to do it. So we talk about how to get yourself there if you're not. And then we talk about the importance of sleep, which always blows everybody's minds. When I do that teaching, people are like rethinking their whole life because they can't believe that they neglected thinking about sleep. And then the third one is stress management, which is so hard for all of us in today's modern world, but especially during a year like this year. And then the fourth one is movement, because with autoimmune disease, you actually have to be very mindful of the movement that you choose, because often it's too much, which I know is the opposite of what you're hearing in modern society. And when you go to your doctor, he's going to tell you need to sweat more and you need to get your heart rate up. But that's actually, you know, not always necessarily the case for those of us with autoimmune disease. And then the fifth one is reintroductions. Now, it's a mini training on reintroductions, and I basically give you a little document that walks you through how you're going to do reintroductions along with the order that I would recommend. And the reason that this time is the last time I'm running it for 2020 is because I'm launching a brand new program, which starts on November 1st. And that is going to be a group coaching for reintroductions. This is a very much long-awaited program. There is no other AIP program out there like this. And I have so many people in my support group that are stuck in the reintroduction phase and really need support with it. So we are doing that November 1st. There is a huge wait list already. And I only have like a limited number of spots, because with reintroductions, it requires a lot more one-on-one support, even within a group program. So if you join this 30-day AIP Back to Basics program, you are guaranteeing yourself a spot in that program, because I just can't take everybody. And if you're setting yourself up for success to do AIP elimination beforehand, then I know you're ready to do reintroductions. That's why people do AIP resets, myself included, is we reset, get back to a baseline of 0. So our immune system is not overreacting to everything. And then that's the best time for us to start doing reintroductions. So I'm really excited to do my first run of that. And so that will be like a 2-week break in between before we start going with reintroductions. So there is also a little deal that I wanted to talk about. So hi, Paula. Basically, if you join the 30-day AIP Back to Basics group coaching program before tomorrow night, so tomorrow Sunday at midnight, you'll get $50 off the Reintroductions program. So the Reinstruction program runs for 6 weeks. It finishes about middle of December, which is perfect because it's before the holidays. And that way you can like reintroduce some foods, hopefully like chocolate, so that you can have some different things at Christmas this year. So I think the timing is working really, really well. And I also waited to start this program until the 20th of September because, like myself, I just got back to school, back to work, and life is freaking crazy right now. And I just needed a little bit of time to like get into my routines. I know lots of you have kids going back to school. It's such a strange year, new routines, everything's different. So I just wanted to give people a little bit of time. And now we're getting settled. So next week or next weekend, we can start. The other thing that you get, of course, is an accountability partner in the group. So that's optional, but I find that that's really a helpful piece is when you have somebody to check in with. I know, Liz, you took part in that as well, right?
I did not.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
After the first week, I'm like, why didn't I? I think my nerves were just at an all-time high, even committing to this. Right. I don't know why now I laugh about it. I'm like, why didn't I do it sooner?
But you still felt connected to the group despite that. Yeah. So even if someone chooses not to, like, don't worry, there's still that connection piece. But I know, like, Beth, she connected with Denise. That was her accountability partner. And they're, like, super good friends now. And they live in different countries. And they, like, talk all the time. So it's definitely, like, nice to have that accountability partner built in there. And then, like Liz said, you get 4 weeks of meal plans. So as soon as you join, you have access to all of that. You'll see all of the meal plans, all of the grocery shopping lists for all 4 weeks. And then I have meal prep schedules. Yes, there they are.
I had to print mine. I'm a printer, sorry.
Yeah, I like it when I'm cooking so I can like follow along on the paper, like double checking the ingredients. Yeah. And then along with the live teachings, I also give you a weekly guide where you basically read all about, you know, sleep or stress management. It goes hand in hand with the live teaching. And if you can't attend live, the video is always there, so you can just watch it later. If you have questions, then you can just email me or message me. And then you also get a copy of my cookbook, AIP Gatherings, which is also going to be great for coming into the holiday season. So we have Thanksgiving in Canada is coming up really soon. You know, we have Halloween, Veterans Day, Remembrance Day. Like, I have recipes in that cookbook for all of those things. So if you're like worried about meeting up with family or, you know, putting on a little get together, you have all of that covered. It's literally all AIP. You can eat it during the 30 days and know that you're having delicious food at the same time as being compliant. Oh yes, Beth is saying she's very grateful for the friendships that she made there. Okay, so what would you say is your favorite recipe from the program? If you had to pick
what
one.
isn't? Okay. I mean, you're talking to someone who was raised on Hungarian and Sicilian food my whole life. So
okay, yes.
My favorites, and definitely I'm keeping for fall in mind, the shepherd's pie. I think was in the first week. The cinnamon swirl muffins. I didn't know how much I like cinnamon. I know I love muffins, so that was a win. Wonton soup. I think I just liked the name. I felt like I was eating out, but I knew it was so much better and definitely tasted better. And then I've never been a huge smoothie person. As weird as this sounds, I have high sensory issues to hot drinks and like cold smoothies. But now I love smoothies. When you said eat it with a spoon, I'm like, why didn't anybody ever mention that? So the chocolate banana smoothie is my go-to. Yeah. And I add like my favorite, you know, like the Enjoy Food mini chocolate chips on top. Now that you've reintroduced, you know, yes. Oh my gosh. I have to mention though, your salad dressings should be in restaurants. Like, I can't even enjoy takeout food anymore. I'm like, your clean ingredients and so many like tasteful herbs and such. And the salad dressings are amazing. The dragon fruit vinaigrette, I think it was. Yep. I don't really have dragon fruit around. I added strawberries. It's my family's favorite salad dressing. And your ranch dip. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that one is ranch dip. Right?
What in the world? Who knew you could make that with what is it, coconut milk?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, and like a million herbs she puts in it, and you're amazing. You're a genius with that. So, and then my last favorite, I know, sorry, there's so many,
No, that's
is
okay.
the strawberry spinach salad jars. Love them.
So good, right? With the,
Yes.
with the salmon. Those are so good. And they look so cute. Like I
Oh
remember
my gosh. I
my
bought mason
students were like,
jars.
oh, like what is that? And
Yes.
then what's the pink stuff in there? Like they were so curious. They're like
Yes.
super cute.
So cute.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. Yes, I love recipe developing. It's one of my favorite things to do. Like when I'm stressed, that's what I do. I know people are like,
Wow.
why would you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just like, I can get out of my head and just kind of like play around with things. And that's what I like to do. So I'm glad that you appreciated them. Okay, what would be the number one AIP tip that you learned from the program? So something that was new to you, because I know sometimes people think, I already know everything about AIP. I think there's really something for everybody here, like things you hadn't considered before. So what would you say for you was the one thing?
The sleep. I had no idea how important sleep is. It's like, people tell you, but I had no idea. I would stay up all night. I'm a night owl. I just want to be up all night long. So I didn't think I required too much sleep. Honestly, it depends on the season here in Buffalo. I can sleep longer in the winter.
I know, right? But that's a good sign because you're in tune with the sun, right? I mean, that's what we want, our circadian rhythms to be linked to the sun. But I find that here too, because in the summertime here, it stays light out until 11:30 p.m. Wow. It's like, so, and then now that it's the fall and it's getting dark around 8, like I find myself much easier being able to get back into my rhythm and go to sleep before 11, right? But in the summer, I do struggle with that. So, and we talk about that in the program, and some tips, really easy tips. Like, you don't necessarily have to go out and buy anything. Like there are tips in there, like, okay, if you want to get some, blackout blinds or whatever, but I've had people just like tape a garbage bag over their window. Like you don't need to even go out and buy things. And literally some of them you can start that night. Like I'm going to teach you tips where it's like, try this tonight, see if it makes your sleep better. So yeah, I think most people, the sleep is, like you say, oh, you can sleep when you're dead. But then when you literally look at what is happening to your body when you're not sleeping, when you have an autoimmune disease, you're like, I don't think I can afford to ignore that anymore, right? So
it's good for your skin too.
Yes, that's true. All right. And just kind of to close it up. So what would you say to anyone who was on the fence about joining the program? If they're still, thinking, I don't know if it's for me, what would you say to them?
Join. I would say absolutely join. Put all your reservations aside and just join it. You won't regret it. You will not regret it. Just commit.
Just commit for yourself,
guys,
right?
I was skeptical. Very much so. Girls, I was skeptical.
You definitely were. Like I literally thought, I think it's so ironic that I'm having this interview with you because I never would have thought that I would have an interview with you because I literally thought like, man, she is so scared about doing this and she's so unsure. And I was like, I really hope we could get her past that. And like, it's just like crazy because now you're like a total like convert. You're like telling everyone, yeah, you should do it. And I just never would have thought that from knowing where you started. So that's also something that I think people need to know is sometimes it's easy to say like, oh, well, look at Liz. Like she has it all figured out now. And, but like,
no,
really,
I don't have it all figured out.
Yes. Right. Like, but really that was not the case for you, just a few months ago. So I think that's so important for people to see. And like I said, we all are the same people. Like people say to me, well, you must have always been healthy or you always liked vegetables. I'm like, no, I still don't even like vegetables. Like, do you know me? I'm like, I eat vegetables because my body needs them and I feel better when I eat them. But like, would I prefer to eat ice cream every day? Yes. Like that is still like who I am as a person. And that's not going to change. Like you said, I was raised, my mom is like an amazing cook, like super rich, like everything from scratch, but full of things I can't eat anymore. And so I liked like, craft dinner and I liked, eating at McDonald's and all those things. Like
my daughter works at McDonald's.
So it's like, I totally get it. Like, and you said the same thing. Like at the beginning, you were like, "Where's the ice cream? Where's the where's the chips?" Right? Yeah. Like where's the pasta? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And we do have a couple pasta recipes on the website as well, you guys. If you are Italian and you're missing pasta, we do have some of those. Okay, so thanks so much for joining us, Liz. And like I said,
thank you.
Liz is going to be in the group. as one of the alumni. So you can always just tag her in there if you have a question for her. And I'm sure if you want to reach out to her on Instagram, she'd be happy to chat with you, because sometimes it's easier to chat with somebody who, you know, was in the same position as you just a few short months ago than it is somebody who's been doing it longer. So feel free to reach out to her. I hope that's okay. You're good.
It's so okay. Can I mention one thing?
Yeah, sure.
So exciting to me too. I lost 20 pounds since I started. I went from a size 12 to a 6, and you guys, I'm not working out. I haven't gone on a treadmill. I literally just live on a farm, and I'm gardening and eating cleaner and healthier because of you.
Oh, I'm so glad that, you know, that is something that we often don't talk a ton about.
Right.
I'll mention like my parents, they were very much like, their main thing was like, oh, I want to lose weight. And then they were impressed that like their joints hurt less. And, you know, my dad has fatty liver disease, and, you know, so he went to his doctor and he's moved back a stage now. So all of those things like that I would be more concerned about, because, you know, excess weight is just a sign of inflammation in the body. Right. And so
it definitely was.
I think that's why you're saying like, I didn't have to do anything else other than get my inflammation down, and the weight just naturally comes off how it should. Right. It's like, it's not amazing. A fad diet. It's not. And the fact that you're also maintaining that now, even with your reintroductions, goes to show you like it was just that you were eating foods that were causing you inflammation. And once you do some healing, you've been able to bring some of those foods back in. So that's really exciting. Congrats. Yeah. That's really good. Yeah. And I know that is especially something that people don't always talk about in the wellness world.
No.
But yet it is like, definitely, I know like a lot of my clients have thyroid issues, and weight gain, unfortunately, is like one of those. And they've tried everything, and then they do AIP and they're like, the weight just started to come off. And I've been struggling my whole life. Right. And I experienced that myself too. Like that was the exact same thing as me. I didn't do any working out in that first year, and the weight just came off because I was just eating different foods that no longer were causing inflammation. So yeah, that's a good thing to mention, because I know for some people that is a driving factor as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to remind you guys, if you sign up before tomorrow night at midnight, you'll get $50 off for my reintroductions program, which starts November 1st, which I know so many of you are excited about. And it also guarantees you a spot, because right now I do have a wait list that is greater than the amount of spots I have. So if you want a spot, for the reintroductions program, this is your way to do it. Plus it's going to prepare you for reintroductions with that little bit of a 2-week break before we move into it, and you'll be all set to go for the holidays, which is super exciting. I know I'm excited for that. I've been doing some reintroductions here and there, but I'm excited to kind of like reset a little bit and then really do it properly, because even I myself get lazy with reintroductions, and I start out good and then I'm kind of like, I'll just eat this. And I'm like looking forward to the accountability for myself too, to be following a structured routine of reintroductions, so I make 100% sure I know if I can have it or not. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And this program is definitely for you. Like I said, if you're a newbie and you just need to kickstart your AIP journey because you're not really sure, if you've struggled on your own, or you're one of those people that goes on and off again, and if you need to do an AIP reset, or you want to prepare for reintroductions. I know, like I said, that's what I'm going to be doing for myself. It's just getting myself back at zero, because my stress has been high this past little bit here. So I definitely need to reset and focus on some of those things. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the AIP, or you don't really know where to start, this is also a great place for you. So the price is $297. Like I said, there is a payment plan where it's broken into 4 payments. And then I also always offer a 15-minute free discovery call. So if you're like, I still don't know if this program is right for me, just send me a message. We'll set up a time to chat for 15 minutes. It's free. You don't have to sign up at the end of the conversation. You can go ahead and decide if you want to or not, just so that you can talk to me and see if we would be a good fit to work together. So I think that's everything. Did we miss anything?
I think you did great.
No, you did great as well.
Liz
told me that she was like nervous. You're like a total natural in front of the camera. I was awful when I first started. I was like, I couldn't even like look into the camera. Like I'd be like, so guys, like I was totally. So you're definitely natural, and you have the hair to go with it. So
thank you. Aww.
So thanks so much for joining us. Like I said, if you want to see me and Liz in there, sign up, you guys. It's going to be an awesome awesome time. I'm so excited. I feel ready now that I'm getting more settled to do this reset. And we hope that you'll join us this time.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks, Liz.
Bye.